Good morning again. Thank you so
Morning.
much, Ibukun.
My pleasure.
Great. Fantastic. So we start.
Okay.
Viewers and listeners, we welcome you to a special edition of the Effective Living series. We've been running 4 weeks on personal rebuilding, career rebuilding, business rebuilding, and family. We call this edition the Effective Living Plus, where we speak to some highly accomplished leaders to share some insights with us on some of the areas we've discussed already. We're privileged to have one of the most accomplished leaders this continent has produced. She is an author, she is a speaker, she is a businesswoman, and she's held many positions. Chaired First Bank of Nigeria. She is a fellow of the Aspen Global Leadership Network, a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, done so many things in her life. And we're privileged to have her this morning share some insights ahead of the live series event she'll be organizing in Ghana later in the month. Ibukun Awosika, thank you for talking to us on CTFM and CTTV. Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Such a pleasure to have you on today.
My pleasure to be here.
You've accomplished so much, and I notice these days you're doing a lot of giving back, a lot of people building, a lot of sessions to help. Has that always been part of your life, or this is more recent, this idea of conference speaking, helping people build capacity?
I think that's been a major part of my life for most of my life. Even as I was building, I started early. I started my first business just before my 26th birthday.
Wow.
So even from right off the block, in fact, from university, because I was a major part of my time in university was spent as a member of the Junior Chambers International. So I had a lot of learning, that I picked up as a member of a leadership building organization that formed my mindset in many ways, influenced my thinking and my journey. And as I moved forward, I also realized that it's important to share, and one of my first places where I freely learned to share thoughts was church, because, you're part of the department. I was head of business fellowship in my church for many, many years. So you get to share knowledge and thoughts with other people. You're sharing with each other, and you're iron sharpeneth iron. So I have realized that for a long time. And I have then consistently, deliberately invested in the process of building the next generation. Always. One of the projects I did quite a few years back now was to build a project called After School Graduate Development Center in Nigeria, as a project to help prepare young unemployed people to be employable and to work in developing policies to support government's desire to solve the employability issue that we had with such a huge population of young people. So it's in stages. It's different things. I've been speaking forever. And then what I've been doing in this last short while is now more strategically focused on, around 3 key areas. There's your personal growth, which is about individual development. Then there is your career or business growth, and then there's relationships. If you can handle those 3 key pillars of your life, you have the right mindset and thinking, and you can approach them with an understanding matched with who you are, you're likely to have a better journey, a better adventure with your life. And as I do that with age group between 25, 35, 45, I also then specifically work with women in leadership. There are 2 programs I'm running in Ghana. There's a live series, which is for the younger, more upwardly mobile people. But there's also the 360 Executive Masterclass, which is for women that are more C-suite based, higher level in leadership positions. But there are factors that are peculiar to us as women when we get to that level. And what knowledge do you share to help women sustainably survive those spaces and build forward? And I've sat in a few places, so I've learned a number of things. And for me, knowledge is useless if it dies with you. It's better to give it life by sharing with others and let them use it to enhance themselves. And that's what my general agenda is. So yes, it's a bigger part of my life right now because I've just decided this is what I want to pay a lot more attention to it. And I've created a vehicle, the Bukoya Awosika Leadership Academy, which embodies all of these projects.
We see some of what, in fact, a lot of what you talk about, we see it manifest in your life. As you started, you said in your 20s, you're already on this track. How important is it for these three parts of the tripod to be held together? The personal, the business, and the relationships? Because I know some people suffer with one or two, and some people even pay the price. So some people succeed at the highest level in business, and the price is either relationships or even personally. So how important is it to have the three sides of this tripod held in balance as you journey through life?
I think one of the things I learned is that if you learn early enough, if you have what I call a sense of who you are, if you have an understanding of your person, your vision, your drive, your journey, where you want to go, what are your strengths, what are the weaknesses you do not want to play to, how do you want your life to end? When you're 70, when you're 80, if you're reading a book of your life story, what would you like to read there? Now, you don't have to wait till the end to say, gosh, I wish I did this. I wish I didn't do that. What I've learned is that if from the onset, you have a sense of that journey, you allow yourself to make some decisions that are key guides to your journey, obviously building in flexibility of many different things that life can bring along. But having a direction itself allows you to know what you are adjusting to, as opposed to just coasting along. I realized that if you resolve some of those personal visions, when you are making decisions related to your career or your business, you will make them as is relative to the direction you have decided is the route you want to follow. As opposed to just, sometimes you have an opportunity between A and B. And some of the considerations seem substantial, but ultimately down the line, you realize they were mundane because it didn't serve your purpose. Okay, so this job is going to pay me a lot more, and money is the consideration. So I like this person who is the one asking me to work for them here. And therefore, because I like that person, that is a consideration. As opposed to aligning all of those factors with where I want to go to determine whether A or B is the right fit for the journey. There's a need to have a longer term vision, okay, with a more holistic view, in a sense, and being deliberate about the kind of decisions that you make. Having the litmus test of why am I doing this? Why will I not do this? What are my considerations? What are the right choices? Not just for me for now. What is the implication of making that decision today? And how does it affect what I want to do tomorrow? It might meet what I want to do today, but if it would destroy my tomorrow, then it's not a gain. Ultimately is a loss because it would take from me down the line. So there is a way that you reset your mind and your considerations that affects how you make key decisions in your journey. Because what is our total journey? The summation of every decision that we make every day. Every decision that you make will add to or take away from your journey. Every decision that you make has a consequence. Those consequences either work for you or they work against you. When you talk, the decisions you make impact the relationships you build. But every journey you have in life is about people. There are people at the door of every place you want to enter to open the door for you or to shut it against you. And how do they decide whether they open it for you or shut it against you? It's based on how they experience you. Now, if you have been very anyhow about handling relationships, then you set yourself up in many cases to become vulnerable in key moments. But you can actually be more deliberate. You can take decisions as to my childhood friends and my childhood friends. I love them. They're great for me. But are they the best circle of influence for where I am and where I'm going? They remain my friends. We're social, engaging friends and all of that. But if my journey has differed from theirs in a way that I'm sitting in a place where I need a different kind of support system, I need honest, technically competent minds that can understand my journey and influence it when I am not sure of what to do because they have an understanding of it. I'll share with you one of the women that was in one of my 360 executive classes, maybe last year. I can't remember which cohort she was in. You know, in the class, she just started crying. You know, and at a point, so I asked her, Rita, why are you crying? She said, you know, I came from the bottom of the pyramid and God has helped me. I've built a successful business. I have done very well. But this is the first time I have found a safe space to be myself. A safe space to express my ambition, my vision, my dreams without feeling being judged, like I'm being judged. Because when she's trying to talk to her childhood friends, to them, she's already so successful, they don't understand why she still wants to do anything more. You know, so they're like, what? You know, just leave that. You're good. You're great. You've done well. But if you still have dreams and desires and you don't have the right context and space to express yourself, you will feel unaccomplished. So it's really, there's so many factors in that journey. And that's part of what we discuss, which is how we'll bring your personal growth. What are your gaps? What are the things you need to develop where you're concerned? You must, there's an overriding theme, which is a Shakespearean quote that I adopted, which is to thyself be true. That's my own coinage of it. And if you're true to yourself, then you can be honest about what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. You can be honest about the things you're not great at, and you can learn to respect other people who bring that gift to you, to the table, for you to be able to achieve the things you need to do. So that affects how you handle people. But it also allows you to invest time in developing the areas that you need to, okay? As well as make the right kind of decisions for your career or for your business, whilst paying attention to relationships, because people are facilitators of all of those things. Whether people are at the bottom or at the top, it's not about what position they hold. It's about the fact that they're human beings around your life. They bring value to you. What is your view? How do you interact with them? What legacy do you leave with them? How do you treat people? How do you handle people? How do you invest in relationships? Do you just want to take from relationships, or do you invest in relationships, you know, in order to build what I call a network of relationships rather than just networking, as people tend to think?
Great. So it's very clear that it starts with you. My question is, how do I know I'm growing? How do I measure my personal growth?
I think the first thing, Bernard, you must know is each and every one of us, when we are honest with ourselves, we know when we've made progress. Because you know you, nobody knows you like you. You know who you were yesterday. You know the things you couldn't do. You know the things you couldn't figure out. You know the challenges you were handling. And when you've walked a bit forward, you can also make the same assessment as to where you are. Am I a lot more patient than I was yesterday? Am I a lot more thoughtful than I was yesterday? Am I more focused, where my career is? Am I more deliberate and strategic in making the kind of decisions that I make right now? We understand our progress, but even more so, when you have the right relationships around you, you create an accountability group for yourself, which means beyond your own measuring, the people that you have pre-vetted. And I always say, do not carelessly just allow any voice to influence your life or speak to you.
Okay.
Be deliberate about choosing the influencers in your life and know the value that each person that is in your influence circle represents in that circle. Be sure that they're people that will not bring you down. They're people that will lift you up. They're people that are able to encourage and help you build. They're people that can correct you, but correct you in love and bring your attention to things that you need to pay attention to, but not in a derogatory manner. They're people who lift up your hands. They're not people who pull it down. They're people who help you to think through your confused moments and to sort through your unclear vision. They add value to the process. They're not people that tell you what to do. They're people that guide you to get to the place of making the right decision as to what you want to do. Because you see, I'm a Christian and the Bible says, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. But you see, counsel is information. It is information that is shared by someone that has another view or additional knowledge. And when they do, what is important is you must always own the decision. You must take the information that is provided to you in counsel and use it as a guide to have a fuller view of the situation and the circumstance. But because there are components of it that are not verbal or physical, that you as a person will sense, will know that all of it can come together for you to get to a place where you know, this is what I need to do. And sometimes it might not be the popular position. Sometimes the people around you might not even agree with you. But in your heart of heart, having considered all things, you will know why you need to do what you need to do. And you can move on it.
You've done so much in business. One of the questions I get asked by people who are trying to succeed at work or in their own business is there a definition for success in business? Because the world of work is always asking for more. So is there a working definition? How do I know that I've succeeded in my career?
Remember where we started from, with you having a sense of what you want, how you want your 70, 80-year-old self to be. I think our success is self-defined by each person. And it's really important that you self-define your own success. Why? Because other people's measure or determination of what success is can be so different from yours. And if you don't have an understanding of what you consider as your own success, have your own markers and your guide, you will never, ever feel accomplished. There would always be someone that's done more, someone that is going farther, or someone that thinks you should do more. But don't forget, it's your journey. It's nobody else's journey. It's you, and you must know where you want to go. That's why that theme, to thyself be true, is key. Is your family important to you? You owe nobody any explanation to make it the center of your decision making. Are your children key to everything that you do? You don't have to explain to anybody. Is your career at the heart of it? Have you worked out how they all work together? Those are your choices. And you decide what gives you that peace of mind. For some, it's going to parties ever so often. They're happy to be invited by everybody, to be part of the social calendar, to be recognized by every newspaper in the social page. For some, that's success. that they have a lot of, that they're famous. To some, it is to be able to achieve a certain level in their career and provide for their family one way or the other. To build a house for their mother or their father, and train their younger ones who came after them because they are the first person in their family to become a graduate or to have some level of success at a different, in a different kind of world. Our measures are different. So you have to own your own definition of what your success is. If you don't, there would always be somebody's journey that will challenge yours. And that's a never-ending game. So it's really about us as individuals and defining our journey.
All right. The next question is really the kind of question I get from younger people. A lot of these people who are in school, university, and they usually have two problems. They will say, I didn't get the course I wanted. I want to be a doctor, but I didn't get admission, so I'm doing biochemistry. Or I want to do business admin, but I'm doing archaeology. I'm not happy. And then the other one is my parents want me to be a doctor and I want to be an artist. I get a lot of those questions. Look, you deal with young people. How do you help them think about this? How should they think about this conundrum that every time I go to universities, they keep asking me? What do you have to say to them?
Look, this is, I guess for a lot of our universities, whether it's in Nigeria or Ghana, this is a standard experience. And I can say that, part of how, when I'm talking to young people, I use my personal story. And when I was in secondary school, first I wanted to be a doctor. And then I realized that they use real dead bodies in medical school. And I said, no, I don't want to touch cadaver. That was the end of my medical ambition. Then I then said I wanted to be an architect, because even though I was very good in sciences, I was also good in arts. Okay. Anyway, I went into the university to study chemistry. So by the end of my first year, before the end of my first year, I'd already told myself that I hated the chemistry and that I would like to get away from it. By this time, because I used to be very good at school's debate and everything when I was in secondary school, everybody thought I would make a great lawyer. I could win an argument. So I thought, that's true, I would really want to be a lawyer. So I used to go and sit in front of the Dean of Law's office for days, trying to see if I would be able to transfer to law. The secretary finally told this dean, look, there's this young lady that's been coming to sit here every day. You have to see her. So when he saw me, he's like, what do you want? I said, sir, I want to transfer to law next session. And he said, that's why you've been sitting outside my office? I said, yes, sir. And he said, okay, you know what? If I take only one person from another faculty next year, it will be you. But make sure you pass very well. So I said, thank you, sir. But therein lies my challenge. If I pass very well, my department will not release me because they also want to keep the best students for myself. If I fail, law will not accept me. But I solved the problem myself because before the end of the session, I'd also changed my mind about wanting to be a lawyer. By now, I had now decided I wanted to be a chartered accountant so I could go and work in a bank. Wow. So from my second year, I remained in chemistry, but I started taking 3 electives in Faculty of Administration and Accounting. And I did that to my final year. In Nigeria, they don't give you a minor degree. Otherwise, I'd have gotten one in accounting. But I took a lot of their courses and did better at their courses than even my chemistry. Finished, went to youth corps, made sure that I was going to be posted to an accounting firm to serve. Eventually, I got posted to the accounting firm to serve. By the end of the 1 year of the youth service, working in Akintola Williams & Co., which is now Deloitte, I realized how much I hated the auditing process.
Oh, Lord.
So this is just to give an example of, look, our life is so dynamic, especially at that age, that the process of self-discovery, has its role, but it doesn't necessarily define who you are at the end of it. but it builds character in you over time. So I finished the 1 year in the audit firm. They gave me permanent employment because I did my job. My rule is always whatever your hand finds to do it well, but I hated it. So when they offered me permanent employment, I said, no, I don't want, thank you very much. I still wanted to work in a bank, but I didn't want to be a chartered accountant. So I went back home, and the first job I could get 1 week after youth service was in a furniture manufacturing company. So I went into that furniture manufacturing company just to kill time whilst I was waiting for my bank job to come through. I spent only 3.5 months in that furniture company, by which time I realized why I had wanted to be an architect, and all the creative part of me came alive. And I realized I actually loved the process of creating and building the furniture. Well, that's a 34-year story, because for the last 34 years, I have built a manufacturing group in various aspects of furniture. And that's my core business. And in building that, I'm building it in the best way that I knew, with my value system and everything, and doing things right. Ultimately, I became attractive to corporates who then wanted me to serve on their boards, which is how I started serving on multiple boards, including and eventually becoming the chairman of First Bank of Nigeria, amongst many boards that I chaired along the paths, and on boards that I serve, and I still serve and chair many boards. So what is my message? What I say to most young people is this: if you're already in the university doing this course, just complete it, okay? Your parents have gotten you to do this, that's fine. Your certificate only says you have been to the four walls of a school. It's taught your mind to process information in a certain way. It's taught you the process of engaging with other people and challenging ideas and status quo. It doesn't necessarily define you. When you finish, say thank you to your parents, give them the certificate, and go and live your life and live the best of the life that you want for yourself, applying your talents, your giftings, and all that you are. Because it's not your certificate that will make you. I have seen many people with first class in this or that haven't amounted to much. It's really about how do you work, how do you interact with many factors in a work environment or in a business environment in order to achieve success. It's about how you engage with people. It's about how you process information. It's about how you are diligent at what you are assigned or what you assign people. It's about how you are able to provide solutions, a thoughtful process for providing solutions to challenges that you can see. It's all of those factors together that defines your ability to succeed in life after school. So it doesn't matter what degree you get out of school. It matters how you apply yourself thereafter. And that's why we can cross. I know someone who is a lawyer and a doctor, one person. She's a lawyer and she's a doctor. You know, her father is a doctor, her mother is a lawyer. She did study both. I have another friend who first studied sciences, finished that, went back to school to study pharmacy. She studied botany first, then went to study pharmacy. After she finished studying pharmacy, she went back to study law. And they have a major law firm as a family. She's worked in that law firm for decades now. So it's really, the degree is only a starting point. It certifies that you have been to school, you know how to read and write, you know how to process information, but there's much more to you than what your degree offers you. So just live your life the best that you can.
Fantastic. This is the Effective Living Series Plus. My guest is Ibukun Awosika, one of the most accomplished leaders on the continent, corporate leadership, business leadership. Your journey fascinates me because whereas most people start by working for people and then eventually start their own companies, a little bit about what I've learned is that you after the youth service, you started working almost like doing your own thing before getting formally into the corporate world? I am asking this on the basis of, again, some people want to be entrepreneurs. We are in the gig economy. Generation Z doesn't want to work for anybody. What is the thinking around working to learn before starting your own company? Because I know a lot of young people who say, I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to work for anybody. Is that always the best solution? Just talk us through some of the ideas around how to prepare yourself for top level corporate leadership.
You know, Generation Z, as you call them, they fascinate me with their ideas and their you know, it's like a totally rebellious mode to status quo. And well, the question, you know, I usually like to ask them is, oh, I don't want to work for anybody. And so you build a company, who's going to work there? Because ultimately, you know, you need people to work in the businesses that you build. And if everybody doesn't want to work for anybody, then we're all doomed, because we'll end up with one-man businesses all over the place, not going anywhere. Okay. Now, the reality is, having lived as an entrepreneur who literally all my work experience was just youth service and 3.5 months in a company, I can tell you, I'm from working with so many different entrepreneurs over time. I can tell you without a doubt that the best entrepreneurs are the ones that have worked in an organization. And I'll explain. Because they get a chance to see the inside of a company. They get a chance to see the discipline that is required for a company to function and function well over time. They get a chance to meet other people and to submit to people. They get a chance to build the discipline of working with other people and being part of a team and being submissive to other people's ideas, as in the people you work for. You have a boss, you have team members, you might even be at the bottom of the pyramid if you are starting out from school. There are loads of learnings you pick up in a workplace. There are also relationships you build that would support the things you want to do over the long term. Experience has its value. It cannot be replaced in many ways. And some you learn yourself, some you benefit from other people's experiences, and that adds value to you. So what I would say is, some of the best ideas you have will fail on the back of nuances. And some of those nuances you only glean within the context of the business of that industry, which means every business has its trade secret. If I want to invest in education, it will be profitable for me to spend some time working in a school. Why? There are things I would pick up there that would help to make my journey of setting up my own school a lot easier and better. Because one of the things that we find in the best business plans you can ever create in the world, there are a lot of assumptions. And you know, assumptions can mess you up, because every assumption does not pan out to be true. So when you are part of a live business in the industry you want to participate in, there are learnings you pick. It's also what I mean. Look at tech businesses. Okay, the new generation did this. Why do you need the clusters? Why do you need the hubs? It's because within a community, there is learning. There is shared learning. There's facilitation that happens. You know, and there is experience that is gained. One project beside you, their failure might be what prevents yours from failing. Their success might be the starting point of what you need to build your success. Wow. So there is, you can't undermine it. Sometimes you're lucky, you can run off and start something, and there's a stage where you need practical help. I mean, look at like the Facebooks of this world. After creating the technology and all of that, to turn it into a successful business, what had to happen? They have to find real people with real bureaucratic talents who could help build the value system of extracting value from it. Accountants, administrators, you have HR issues, the real life issues will always come in. And at that point, you need the non-technology-based professionals who have those values to bring into the business in order to support what you have created. So that you can't take out the fact that there is a lot of value that you gain when you've had some sort of exposure to a workplace. That's what internships are meant to serve.
Okay, Ibukun, before we talk about the Ghana event, I have another final question. For somebody who literally lives on the plane, as the Punch newspaper reported, how were you able to maintain a marriage and raise 3 kids and also succeed at the highest level of business? Because usually high capacity leaders, in particular women in Africa, it's sad to say a lot of them suffer on the family side. So you would notice that either they're not married or they're divorced, or they don't have kids because they had to pay the price. I mean, we have how many months of maternity leave? Is it 3 months? Doesn't make sense, right? So basically, women are forced to make a choice between your job and your family. How were you able to get all that right?
Well, it's part of what the 360 Executive Masterclass is about. Those are some of the key things that we discussed there. It's about how do you play to win on all fronts, you know, and there key things that women, some truths that women, we speak to ourselves in those sessions that has helped a number of women that have been through those sessions to reset, you know. But what I would say is it starts from the choices you make, you know, the decision you make about what you want out of your job. I've been married for 31 years now. It'll be 32 years December this year.
Wow.
So it's about those choices. And one of the key success factors for that to happen is who you marry. So for the younger women, I always say, don't make a choice of a husband until you have a sense of you. You know who you are. You have a sense of where you're going. You don't want a guy who wants a wife at the door when he arrives at home to welcome him, needs to marry a teacher or someone whose career leaves room for that, and not a woman who wants to work in an investment bank or be a doctor on call and all of. No, those are real issues. It's about us making practical, deliberate, intentional decisions and considering the factors that say, I cannot do this. This is where I'm going. This doesn't work for me. So choosing your partner is a key part of how, I know that we like to think it's this emotional, fluffy decision and all of that. But, you know, the fluff wears off within the first few months and the reality sets in and you must know how to deal with it, which means it's not a fluffy decision. It's quite a practical decision. And you must have a sense of who you are and understand, you know, the kind of person that you really should marry. That's one part of it. 2 is in not having some superwoman idea about yourself. I don't think about myself as some superwoman. I'm a very practical person, and it's about building systems around you to help facilitate what your journey would be. My mother-in-law lived with us for 20 years. She passed in a house. Now, I hear many young girls who say, oh, I would rather marry a guy whose mother is dead. I have 3 sons. I don't intend to die for anybody to marry my sons. So it's you have to learn to see how those things work. And my mother-in-law was such a great blessing to me and such a great help, because having an elderly person in the house who loves my children even more than I do, gives you a lot of peace of mind when you're traveling. Even though you have all the staff, you have the domestic staff in the house, I also always created additional capacity because as I had the domestic staff, I had family members who lived with me. So that if your nanny gets up today and says, I'm leaving this morning and I'm on my way to the airport, I'm not stranded. There's a system that would kick in that would cover. So you have to spend a bit more time to build your structure in order to also make sure that it works. And you have to understand, my husband is important to me, and therefore my diary carries husband time, which means, yes, you have to be a lot more intentional about it. So like when my kids were still in boarding school in England, January, once the kids go back to school, we go off. I would have made all the arrangements. I didn't even wait to ask him. I'm like, we're traveling in January. That's it. I would make all the arrangements, set up, we're going somewhere or the other and all of that for about 10 days, 2 weeks, just the two of you roaming around together, having me time for one another. If you go and you come back and I want to go to the moon, is he likely to say no? No. I mean, there's been substantial attention to him within that period and learning the wisdom of engagement that allows the partnership to work. If you've married the right guy who celebrates your mind, your drive, your vision, your ambition, who loves the woman that you are and is not trying to make you into another type of woman or to clip your wings, so to speak, then there's a lot more consideration from your spouse for what your life pans out to be. And when I remember when I was being interviewed for serving on the board of First Bank, I mean, what I said to the chairman then was 2 things I need to do. I need to go and pray and I need to go and speak to my husband. Why? Because, well, his time will be traded off as part of the time I would use for the work. And I sort of wanted us to have the agreement that, okay, I want to do this. Should I? What's your opinion? So you create a consensus environment where your partner is also a stakeholder in your decision making in a way that even if that particular place creates challenges and problems, you're not left standing alone. You have the support of your spouse because you decided together that, look, this is something I want to do. Oh, this is something you should do. So it's not, oh, I told you so. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. So there's a wisdom that the African woman, let's put it that way, because you cannot live outside of your context. The question for me is, how do you make your context work for you so that you can achieve what you want to achieve? That's what the 360 Executive Masterclass, that's part of what is 6 to settle.
So now let's talk about the 2 events. So the event you're doing on the 6th of February is
on the 5th and 6th.
So on the 5th and 6th.
Yeah. The 5th is the 360 Executive Masterclass. It's just for women. And it's a small class. I never make them into big classes. Deliberately, because the whole idea is to create a safe space where the women can be themselves. There's no recording allowed in that class. It's 9-hour session.
Whoa.
And yes, and there's a lot of vulnerability and truth telling and principles shared. And my goal at the end of the day is to create each class into a cohort, a sisterhood of support system that works together for their lifetime. And I've done multiple classes and I've seen the results. So I know that it works, both in Nigeria, and I ran one in St. Lucia in the Caribbean in November. So I know that it works and the principles works. I've seen them work. Okay, so Ghana is just one more class. And I hope that we can get that off as we get the women who
Is there
fit in
space for
the bill to
registration?
register. I'm sorry?
Is there still space for registration? How do people register for
Yes,
this one?
there's still space for registration. I think if they go to, there's a link that we can send to you to
that we can put on the screen.
Yes,
okay.
You can put the link.
So we can put the link on the screen.
Yes, you can put the link
and
on
then
the screen. Yes, and they can register through that and all of that. And the one on the 6th, which is for male and female, is the one for the younger people from 25 to 35 to 45, but more middle level people or people starting off the block and all of that. And it's a full 7-hour session where we're dealing with multiple issues, some of which you referred to in terms of how do you set the terms of reference on your life? What are the kind of value system with which you should walk your journey if you want to achieve long-term? What are the considerations that you should look at? How does relationship function in terms of your journey? It's along the same parameters: personal growth, business and career, and relationships. And everything that we discuss for the 7 hours of the session is around all of those factors. But on top of that, what I do for that group is that after we finish the session on Sunday, we give a gap of about 4 weeks. Within those 4 weeks, we hope they try to think through those principles and try to apply them in some of their situations. I then start a 7 weeks accountability session with them every Sunday for at least an hour for 7 Sundays consecutively. I connect with them virtually to answer questions. They can come in and say, look, these are my questions. These are the things I've experienced. These are the things I've encountered. What are your thoughts here? And I give that much time to them for the next, for 7 Sundays as a way to help to establish their learnings.
So on this one as well, registration, I think there's a link,
there's a link, yes.
Ghana 2022. Okay, we'll put that on the screen. For those of you listening on radio, I will give you the address when I'm done with the session. So look, this sounds really exciting. And are these virtual or in-person sessions?
No, they're in-person sessions. And I'm hoping that, like the live series, I'm hoping that some either corporates or more affluent individuals will invest in buying some tickets for some young people around them or in their organizations to attend the live series. Usually in Nigeria, what I do is I get some corporates to sponsor the event. But the people who register for it still pay a token because I want them to have a commitment so that they show up and they listen and they take it seriously. I realize when you give people things for free, they don't value it. So yes, you pay. If I'm going to show up and give so much of my time, plus the 7 Sundays of my life for an accountability group, they could not have, they can't afford to have paid me for that time. So I want them to take it seriously because I'm giving value deliberately, and I want them to use the value and treasure it and not mess around with it. So I would like other people, adults, corporates, or more affluent individuals to buy tickets for some young people in their companies, in their lives, in their families, and send them there. But they have to at least be 21. 25 is my preferred minimum age for live series.
Fantastic. We can't wait for the 5th and the 6th, the women on the 5th, and then the men and women on the 6th. So thank you, Ibukun. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I've been speaking to Ibukun Awosika. She's a Nigerian businesswoman, motivational speaker, and author.
You know, I actually hate that word, motivational speaker. Because people use it a lot.
She's she's an inspirational speaker.
No, I just speak on issues. You know, I speak on issues I'm passionate about.
You don't like the word motivation?
No.
She's a speaker. She's a speaker, and she's also an author as well. We look forward to having her in Ghana in the first week of February. Thank you for speaking to us on the Effective Living Series Plus. We will hope to see you in the flesh and talk to you.